Air is the newest Ben Affleck film that follows the story about how Nike's basketball division managed to sign Michael Jordan and go on to make the iconic shoe, the Air Jordan. I wasn't able to go see this movie right away whenever it came out, but I had heard endless amounts of hype for it, which didn't really come as a surprise to me. Ben Affleck is a fantastic director, and it's been like 11 years since the last time he made a truly great movie. I mean, this guy, he legitimately has made two all-time classics, in my opinion, between The Town and Argo. He made a fantastic movie in Gone, Baby Gone, and then, honestly, I never saw Live by Night. But all in all, he's a great director, and he was coming back from a lot of personal stuff over the last few years where he hasn't been able to actually go in and direct a film, but he came back and he's directing his childhood best friend Matt Damon in a movie finally. So this movie already had those two things going for it, but then just the story of this movie is interesting as well. For those of you who don't know, I'm a big basketball guy, and one of my favorite miniseries ever, if not my favorite miniseries, is The Last Dance, which is about Michael Jordan's career with the Bulls. On top of all of that, I am actively reading Phil Knight's memoir on how Nike started called Shoe Dog. So I had very high expectations for this movie. It's about a topic that I feel like I know a lot about just because I love basketball, I love Michael Jordan, I love Nike, or I love learning about all those things. And then you add on top of that Ben Affleck as the director. I had a very high bar, and I can sit here and happily say that this movie met all of my expectations and exceeded them. If you're a fan of any kind of movie where you get to see the inner workings of business deals or any kind of underdog sports movie, this is the one for you. This movie makes me think about films such as The Big Short or The Social Network, where you get to see the inner workings of how business is done, but it also has those sports elements from movies like Moneyball, for example, where you get to see the inner workings of a sports organization. This time it's not a specific team, but it's a brand. And you get to see that sort of underdog story and people overcoming insurmountable odds. Because at the time, the Nike only had like $250,000 to give to anyone that they were going to sponsor that year. And they took a huge gamble in offering the full amount to Michael Jordan because they believed in what that guy could become in the NBA. It does at times get to be a little self-serving where, they talk about certain things that Michael is going to do this, he's going to do that. Well, we're sitting here as the audience knowing where history is going to go, so it kind of comes across, I don't know if schmaltzy is the right word, but it's like they have a scene legitimately where they're listing off, he's going to do this, he's going to do this, he's going to do this, and it's all stuff that Michael had done in his career. But to be fair, if you're trying to sign a sports athlete onto your brand, that's going to be part of the pitch. Michael's going to win multiple championships. He is going to be finals MVP. He's going to be All-Star Game MVP. That's stuff that you would say, but it got to a point where I was like, okay, I get it. Let's move on to the story. We all know Michael Jordan is one of the greatest basketball players of all time. And I guess while I'm on to my slight negatives for the movie, there is a period of time in this film where you're supposed to not really know what's going to happen. And I guess for those of you that haven't heard of Air Jordan before, the two of you that are there, for those of you that don't know that, then I guess that might be appealing, but I feel like we could have shrunk down the time of that tension because everyone knows where that story is going to go. The fun of this movie is seeing how Nike managed to sign him, not the tension of what are they going to do. Matt Damon is excellent as the lead in this film. The whole cast is great. Jason Bateman in a supporting role as, I guess, the head of marketing or VP of marketing of Nike. He could very well have faded into the background, but Jason Bateman is an extremely skilled actor, so that didn't happen. You know who his character was. He was able to get across his personality in there. He had a lot of funny quips. I love Jason Bateman here. Ben Affleck is hilarious as Phil Knight. Like I said before, I'm actively reading his autobiography right now, so I felt like Ben Affleck was very true to the Phil Knight that I have read about. A guy who's willing to take chances, but they are very calculated risks, and at the end of the day, he is an expert businessman. And here he is listening to Sonny Vaccaro with this crazy plan and saying, this is absolutely ridiculous. But he's still that guy who sold shoes out of the back of his Plymouth long ago. So he's not afraid to take a risk. He just doesn't want to be an idiot. Viola Davis is amazing as Michael Jordan's mom. I mean, She is one of the greatest actresses alive, in my opinion, and she just played the role so incredibly, where similar to Jason Bateman's character, it could have easily just been faded into the background, but I would go as far as to say that anytime she's on screen, she owns the film. She just has that sort of gravity about her, or gravitas, I don't know. She has that sort of energy about her where you are hanging on every word that she says, and she knows that she owns the room when she walks in. I also love seeing Chris Tucker in this film. He's not in movies as much as he should be anymore, but I thought that he was a really great supporting actor in this film. All in all, you guys, if you have any interest in any elements of this film, go support it with your money. You will not be sorry. It is a great film, whether you like sort of business-centered movies or sports-centered movies, if you're just interested about Nike or Michael Jordan or how this deal was made. This is the best version of that story that I could possibly think of. It absolutely lives up to the hype. It is well worth the price of admission. Go see it. I am so happy that Ben Affleck is back in the game in the director's chair with this film because he absolutely knocked it out of the park. This is my favorite film of the year so far. I'm just going to say it. It's one that I could see myself revisiting time and time again without it getting old. And it's one of those films where, if you're on YouTube a lot, you see YouTube shorts for certain films all over the place, like Margin Call, certain scenes. The Big Short's a good example. This is one of those movies where I could see a couple of years down the road where it falls into that camp. But that's everything that I got to say about Air. Go see it, and thank you so much for watching this video. And if you liked what you saw here, go ahead and subscribe for more. See y'all.